What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer. I love talking about movies, and today we're going to talk about the newest horror slasher movie to hit theaters, Thanksgiving. Now, of course, Thanksgiving here in the U.S. is a holiday where you get together with your family and friends, and you make a Thanksgiving turkey, you make blueberry muffins, you make sweet potatoes, and then other people bring things like cranberry sauce and deviled eggs, and you stay away from those as much as possible. When you're done eating your main course, you turn your attention to dessert, and you eat as much pie as possible, whether it be apple pie, cheesecake, blueberry pie, or my favorite, pumpkin pie. And yeah, cheesecake is a pie. It's not a cake. That's not cake. But anyway, moving on past all that, I don't know of any horror movies in the Thanksgiving genre, or at least mainstream horror movies, so I've never seen a horror movie based around the holiday of Thanksgiving. And so when I heard this movie was coming out, I got really excited for it. And I went and saw this movie, and I'm very happy to report that I had a great time with it. So let's do the review for Thanksgiving. So guys, Thanksgiving is directed by Eli Roth, and Eli Roth, of course, has done the Hostel movies, and he did Green Inferno, and he's done movies that when I watch them, I have to be in the mood for that extreme gore, that extreme, like, oh, you went a little too far with the gore, in my opinion. Like, that's the mood I have to be in order to watch one of his movies. But I will say that this movie toned that back a little bit, and that's actually going to be in my like column, because I think that while it does get pretty graphic at times, and the killings are pretty rough to watch sometimes, it's not to the point where you're completely grossed out, or at least I wasn't, and so I appreciated that about the movie. But I'll get to my likes in a minute. Let's talk about the synopsis of this movie. So the movie opens on Thanksgiving Day. You see a couple different families. You've got a very rich family who owns a corporation called Right Mart. Right Mart is basically the embodiment of all of the different big retail stores, whether it be Walmart, Kmart, Target, Meijer, whatever you have in your area, that's basically what it's embodying. And then you have other families, maybe less fortunate families, that are trying to get together, but some of them work at the Right Mart store, and they're complaining about, oh, why does it have to be open on Thanksgiving? Which is a trend that stores have gotten away from at this point in real life, but it was a thing for a while there. They were like, hey, we'll open at 6 o'clock on Thanksgiving. People are going to come in and do their sales, and they're going to love it. And then COVID happened, and things kind of changed, but that's just like real life. Let's talk about the movie. So essentially, Right Mart is now open on Thanksgiving at 6 p.m. and there is a riot in the store because people just go crazy for those deals, and several people end up trampled to death. One lady even gets hit with a shopping cart a couple of times in the head, and that's a pretty gnarly kill. And the point is that this is all out chaos, and then it time jumps 1 year. And 1 year later on Thanksgiving, you've got Right Mart and the owners of Right Mart who are like, hey, we had nothing to do with that. The people got crazy. They were all basically exonerated, and they are again opening on Thanksgiving Day, and they haven't learned their lesson. And so now there's a serial killer out there wearing a John Carver mask, wearing an all-pilgrim outfit, going around and taking people out, using things that you would find on a Thanksgiving table to take out his victims. And I actually really like that about the movie. So if that sounds like an interesting movie to you, you should go check it out in theaters. And if you want a little bit of the flavor of the Thanksgiving season, we'll go see it before Thanksgiving this year. Or if this is something you're watching in the future, watch it around the Thanksgiving holiday. I think you'll have a more enjoyable time if you watch it around the holiday instead of just like June, I'm going to watch Thanksgiving. Like, it just won't hit as well. With that said, let's get into my likes and my dislikes. My first like for this movie is going to be great motivation and detail for the killer. I think for a horror slasher whodunit movie like this is to actually work, you have to have good motivation, and that motivation has to pay off at the end of the movie. And to me, it does, which is something that some horror slashers get wrong. Like, you go into the movie and you're like, oh, okay, so this movie's all about the gore, it's all about the slashing. But where is the motivation? Where is the story that makes me, the viewer, invested in figuring out who the killer is myself? Because sometimes that just is lacking, but I feel like this movie does it well. There's also a few well-placed jump scares in this movie that I thought were very effective. For me, I don't want to sit through a horror movie and get jump scared every 20 seconds like some of the Insidious movies or other horror movies that are out there. And so this movie did have a few well-placed jump scares that really worked for me. One involving a wall. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a woman on one side of the wall, and there's the killer sort of on the other side of the wall, and it's a really well-placed jump scare that got me in the theater. I did jump at that, and it worked for me. My next like for this movie is going to be a two-part. The first part of it is great kills that seem to stay on topic. There's not just kills for the sake of kills in this movie, which I appreciate. Like, every kill has a reason, and there's even this Thanksgiving Day parade sort of massacre that happens that I think is really done well. But my next part of this like is that it's not gore for the sake of gore. So you you have great kills that stay on topic, but Eli Roth doesn't go to the point where Eli Roth has gone before, where you just have gore for gore's sake and there's no real reason for it. I think every time you see a really gory or gnarly moment in this movie, it's used really well and very effectively for the viewer. So you will have moments where you're like, oh, that's pretty rough, but you're still into the movie. It doesn't take you out completely or does it look so fake. Okay, there is one moment involving a dumpster where it looks so fake, but everything else about the movie didn't look so fake. Like, I really feel like they went the extra mile to help those kills look legitimate. And again, that's a big deal to me because Eli Roth in the past has always been that gore for the sake of gore person, and storyline comes next. But this really felt like story came first, and then he found great ways to implement some gory moments. But that'll lead me to my only dislike of this movie, and I do only have one dislike. Like I said, I like the motivation of the killer. I thought the teens running from the killer had good motivation throughout this movie too, and it's a horror slasher movie, so you're going to have teen drama to make it a good horror slasher, and I thought they used that drama well. So again, not many dislikes, but there was one thing that I picked up on in the very middle of the movie, and that is that all of the main characters in this movie do not have Boston accents. And the movie takes place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, so they should have that Boston, Massachusetts accent, and everybody else in the movie does, and it's very noticeable. You're like, oh yeah, well, they're in Boston, so of course they're going to have accents. But every main character does not have a Boston accent. And you could say, okay, well, maybe this person or this person is not from the area, but there's at least 10 of them in this movie that do not have Boston accents and definitely grew up in the area. And so that part was weird to me, didn't work for me at all, and it kind of threw me off. So I don't know why they chose that, unless they were like, well, we want these people to feel relatable, so we're not going to give them Boston accents so the viewer can kind of go with them on this journey. But in movies like The Town, which is the only Boston movie that comes to my mind, all of the main actors have that Boston accent because that's where they're from. So it's just weird that, like, again, you have a movie based in Plymouth, Massachusetts, everybody has an accent except for your main characters. That was weird to me. Overall, I'll say that I had a really good time with Thanksgiving. I think it might be Eli Roth's best work because, again, the writing comes before the gore, and I just really appreciated that. And it's also a movie that I think I'll go back to each Thanksgiving going forward. Like, it's a movie that is now going to be like, hey, you've got your Halloween movies, you've got your Christmas horror movies, well, now you've got your Thanksgiving horror movie, and I'm very grateful for that. But those are just my opinions because that's my review for Thanksgiving. Guys, if you've seen Thanksgiving, if you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me, or if you have plans to see it before the Thanksgiving holiday this year. And as always, guys, if you like this video and you want to check out more, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of the Thanksgiving movie review. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. And again, I'm just excited that we have a Thanksgiving horror movie to go back to every year going forward. That's just exciting. But if you like this review and you want to check out more of the stuff on my channel, I've got all of my horror reviews right there and all of my 2023 reviews right there.